things going on that front. Make sure you follow along, dtitrader.com/telegram. We are welcoming in our YouTube audience, dtitrader.com/YouTube. Good to see you guys here. And we've got a heck of a presentation for you. We are going to be talking a lot about trading today because it's not just a setup for tomorrow, but looking at trading opportunities. And whenever we look at trading opportunities, we also need to talk about risk. So let's kick over to the risk disclaimer slide if we can. And I will tell you that there is a very high degree of risk involved in trading. DTI Trader and all individuals affiliated with the site assume no responsibility for your trading and investment results. Essentially, you and you alone are responsible for the trading decisions you make, the good ones, the bad ones, and the ones that don't happen. Those are all up to you. Now, if you follow along with us, you should know that past performance is not indicative of future results. That's the disclaimer part. Of course, we do have some pretty decent uh, past results, but we'll get to those later. News shaping the market. We are in the middle of a Lunar New Year, so the Chinese markets are shut down for this week. They should be coming back online next week. We're still in the midst of a partial government shutdown. That's the DHS part, so that continues on. GDP and PCE coming out on Friday, plus SCOTUS opinions on Friday. We'll get to those a little bit more as we move through. But let's go ahead and move to our next slide here because I think this is the important part of the train and trade decision. Tom, what's your opinion of the market right now?
Well, I came to sort of a conclusion and the conclusion is that the risk in the market is rising, and it's better known as the fear gauge, the VIX. If you look at the VIX right now, let me give it to you real quick. It's currently 2079. Anytime that's over 20, that's not good. Plus the fact we're about February if you think about the date, it's February the 19th through the month. We're pretty, February's sort of been a little bit above our 3-day algo, but mostly below it if you look at the numbers. And 68.75, 68.76 takes you down to that 68.63. I thought today there would be a positive news flow coming out. That's usually what happens anytime you have President Trump out and about like he is tonight in Georgia. But I think tomorrow's uncertainty, and Chuck covered some of it, but if I got an area I really consider and always think about, I call it Winds of War. After the great miniseries, you ought to watch that on YouTube if you ever get a chance. It's great with Robert Mitchum. It's really worth watching. It's that good. Ali McGraw's in there, and it's really a good series about the winds of war. And I think that that's where we are with Iran right now. There's just too much noise out there. There's too much movement militarily to not think about that. And so today we're going to talk about what I would call pocket puts. I perfected this strategy years ago to help people out during what I would call times of uncertainty. And now's a good time to put a 30-day one on. And so we're going to teach about that today in Train and Trade. The thing about my pocket puts, I've had some great stories where I paid 50 cents for these things and sold them for $3 or $4 when the action occurred, the flush. We also got, and I've been telling you about it, and I did some more research on this, on silver itself. There's a reason that the COMEX has gotten themselves into trouble with deliveries, and that's next Friday, the 27th. So silver is actually has a little bias to the upside. The problem is you might get a flush before we get to next week. A flush means they big air pocket before they go back up. On our silver wheel, we've been chipping away at it. We did again today, and it's really a great program. You ought to consider at some point. Um, and today in the Silver Wheel, we're going to talk about the strategy and talk about where we are. But I do think next week ought to be a really good week for silver. It'd be nice to get a flush, meaning, get everybody that's long out. I put people on GDX, and we've been wearing that sucker out. It's had, it hit today 104. Remember, I said I thought it would eventually get to 110, but that stock is a real good stock to pick up money with. And let me ask that question. Who here has made some money off my GDX focus? That's been pretty good, I think. There's Jennifer. I'm always glad to see Jennifer participate. And Gwendolyn, as far as Fidelity, I would not use Fidelity. You can take my word for it. Fidelity is not a trading platform. They try to portray themselves as a trading platform. I don't think you ought to use them. I think I'd go to Tasty Trade, or I would go to, where would I go? I'd probably go to Thinkorswim at Schwab. But if you're especially new to options, Tasty Trade's your better choice. They got decent commissions, not the cheapest around, but they're good and they're easy to put it in. Okay. And, but pocket puts, we're going to cover the parameters, and it's a simple strategy, but it's nice to have it in your pocket, meaning if the market does unfold, for example, if they come out and rule against Trump on tariffs, you'll get a flush there. There's a lot of reasons the market could have a flush before we get ready to resume what I would believe will happen, which is a upward rising market this year. We'll see if that doesn't happen. But right now, we're just, we take money where they'll pay us, and that's at the GDX level. We've been wearing that out. I've probably made no less than 25 trades in the last week just off GDX. We got in there on live trading at about 99, and now it's 104. I own actually own the stock, so I really like the way that stock trades. And you can pick off the options. You got to use limit orders. That's the only problem with it. You got to use limit orders for that. And then a lot of the stocks right now, if you look at the stocks right now, they're in no position to say this is a buy or that a buy. Some of them are close, but right now you've got a lot of uncertainty in the market with a VIX greater than 70. Even if you don't participate in pocket puts, you really ought to circle your wagons at least over the next few days until we get through into next week. That's my opinion. That's a long one, I know, but that's my opinion. Train and Trade, a program that we started. I think people like it. The only thing that bothers me is I already have about 800 people in here, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Give me some idea of what I'm doing wrong, because we're not charging for it, number one. Maybe we ought to charge for it. But it's so valuable to get with us every day, okay? And anyway, I think that I'm very disappointed about the numbers not growing. And commit an hour a day for this is got Jonathan, Adam. We're really trying to, grow it. And one thing I found out, Chuck, you need to be aware of. I found this out. Every time you mention the word YouTube channel, you need to tell everybody give us a thumbs up, because that's the way they rate you over there. I didn't know that. Okay. And thanks, Mike, for doing that. I'd appreciate it. If you do. He said he's going to send some people to us. I appreciate hearing that. But what we have to do, folks, is figure out a way to navigate through what the market gives us. There's a long-term approach, a swing approach, there's a day trading approach, there's an overnight approach. I prefer to do what's going to pay me the most with my time. And I am a trader, and I try. And one thing you'll find about me, I won't trade if the odds are not in my favor, because I'm putting real money down. I'm not going to do a trade to show off. I might do that in person, but I won't do it over internet because in person you got a little bit more control about things, but over the internet you got a lag to the logistics and everything. Okay, and those are the things. All trades we do in here are tracked through our famous. It ought to say T-Buzz Talk and Trade 24-hour analysis and trading inside T-Buzz. I do a lot in that channel there that never gets publicized. It's really a great thing to stay connected. Is everybody here members of that? If you're not, it's $200 a month. Sounds like a lot, but if you don't have a scholarship after the first 5 days with me, you know anything about trading, I had to put that qualifier there. Then you got some work to do. Okay. Don't rub it in, Frank. Frank said he's lifetime member. Don't rub it in your lifetime. I'd rather get the $200 a month, Frank. Honestly, I know for you it's better for the lifetime, but anyway, there's some resources we put together. Remember, Friday we're going to have a little fun with and Jonathan, you can't let me forget to do this. Pose about 5 questions off the penalty tape that we'll see how people do, and we'll do a big drawing prize at the end. Okay. Optionplaybook.com. All right, the February 3-day algo. This is Jonathan's spreadsheet, brilliant trade spreadsheet. And this is where I get a lot of my ideas from because of this. So Jonathan, take it away. And wow, and get an opportunity to get in front of a crowd like this, you got to wow them.
Just updating it real quick, Tom, and I'll talk through it. This is a spreadsheet that we work through every single day, and we hope that you do as well. I know that a lot of you do because I can see you logging into the spreadsheet, and doesn't require logging in. I'll simply post a link to the chat. Link doesn't.
We don't charge for this, do we? Don't we give this to people?
We give this away, and there's a lot of value in here. We do a lot of our picking from this spreadsheet right here. This is our pond and our lures in the pond, if you will. What it is, there might just be a lot of numbers on the screen here if you're brand new, but these are very, very important numbers. And the numbers are what tell the true story of the market. If you look at February's open, the S&P opened at 69.38, and we're currently trading at 68.85. One of Tom's first rules that you'll learn from being here is to trade in the direction of the monthly open for your highest odds trades. All right. And if the S&P is down for the month, then the majority of your stocks out there are going to be struggling this month. It's not going to be a very good market to buy. You're not going to have the wind at your back for an easy, nothing's easy, but higher odds trades to the upside if the S&P is below the monthly open. That's the first thing we look at. Then we have 2 columns labeled here, FTD high and FTD low. The first 3 trade days of each month, we mark the highest high from those 3 days, and we mark the lowest low from those 3 days. For the month of January, the highest high in the first 3 days for the S&P was 70.27. Anybody have any idea what the high of the month is on the S&P? I'll tell you, it's 70.27. So
what that means, let me stop you. What that means is that this market has not traded higher than the first 3 days of the month, which means you've been in you got 2 things going on. You got a reversal like in 2022, where it's making low after low. We don't have that, but you also have a corrective month going on right now, and you get chopped up in a corrective month. And that's why I slow down my trading and really do targeted plays, because the odds are really not as generally high when you got that kind of setup, because 75% of all stocks follow that S&P.
Yeah, and similarly in the morning, you know, we'll always say wait for the first half hour to finish before you do any major trading. Well, it's a similar fashion each month. Give the market 3 days to map out a range and decide where they want to take the market. And then if they can get above the high in the first 3 days, they'll likely, we found, try to trend it higher. In fact, about 87% of the time from our study over the past 5 years, if the SPY has a day where it opens above the 3 day high for the month, 87% of the time it finished the month positive. So that's really good odds. That's why we have this spreadsheet for you. That's what we're looking for. And of course, in an instance like this month, if the S&P cannot get above that high from the first 3 days, it is flat out not going to trend higher for the month. All right. Most of your stocks are not going to be trending higher for the month. And you'll see these two columns out to the left or right, excuse me. The left of the two columns says above FTD high. And if the stock or futures is above its 3 day high for the month, it'll say long, like crude oil does here, and bonds, and TLT, and utility ETF, XOU. Or vice versa, if the stock is below the low from the first 3 days, it'll say short, like Bitcoin, like the financials ETF, XLF. As we scroll down, we've got Pan American Silver and Newmont Mining long. We've got gold miners, ETF, GDX long. We've got some Mag 7 stocks short, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft. What else we have? We have General Motors short. We have Nike long. We have Nuclear NNE short, Palantir short, Grid long, Sky, Johnson & Johnson, and McDonald's long. And folks, this is for the month of February. If your favorite stock on here is short, like I know a lot of people like Palantir, it's short for the month of February. Don't go buying Palantir stock this month. Every month, each stock has a new opportunity to prove that it's ready to head back higher. And you'd be surprised how often that timing basis will help keep you on the right side of the market. So track that as the months go along. Track the monthly open, track the 3 day high, keep track of the spreadsheet. All right, use it as an analysis tool. And I think you'll find that you enjoy using this spreadsheet. It'll help you stay on the right side of the market, at least in our
Yeah,
opinion.
and your account actually grows in value, which is
Yep.
really the reason you're here, correct?
That's right. Here to get some insights from you, Tom, and whatever else the rest of the team here at DTI can share. And this is a big one for us each month, the FTD spreadsheet. I'll share the link one more time. Oops, you gotta see. Click the link in the chat. When it's on your computer, after you click the link in the chat, you can hit the star at the top of your browser. This is Google Chrome, and it will bookmark it to your browser so you can get to it easier the next day. But we share this spreadsheet every day in Train and Trade. So if you lose track of it, just show up at 11 and we'll share it once again. Let's go back to the slides and just a quick reminder that today's recording will be available at the YouTube channel. And to get there, you go to dtitrader.com/YouTube. And if you click on the live tab at the channel, you can catch today's recording. And as Tom said, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what we do. Let's get the word out there.
All right. And we do have a couple of news items. Tomorrow is a big, big day for the market. So if you're looking around at the market right now thinking, well, this thing's just hanging right in the middle, these reports might be the reason why. First of all, we're going to have GDP kicking things off. That's fourth quarter GDP coming out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning. This report is typically released on the last week of January. But due to the government shutdown, everything gets a little bit delayed. Now, the prior read for the third quarter was 4.4%. Expectations are that the fourth quarter could come in around 2.8. But if you look at that range of expectations, and Tom, I think this is one of the things when we talk about uncertainty in the market, when you're forecasting a GDP somewhere between 1.7 and 3.6, that's a wide range. That's a lot of uncertainty on this information. So, what's going on with the market? Well, we're waiting to find out, and we've been waiting an extra amount of time. So, might get some sort of solidity, a little bit of solid nature to the news tomorrow morning. Now, in addition to GDP, we also have PCE, for those of you that don't know, Personal Consumption Expenditures Index. So there's PCE and then there's PCE index. What we're looking at is the PCE index. That data comes out also at the same time as GDP, 8:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning. This report also typically released in the last week of January. Again, a bit of a delay. Core PCE prior read was 3%, with an expectation of it coming in around 2.8%. And that 2.8% would be in line with what we saw from CPI, Consumer Price Index, the previous week. So if we get that, that's good. And of course, if you get the GDP popping up, that's also good. So that type of economic goodness, if you will, sounds great. But in addition, after the GDP and the PCE, SCOTUS opinions will be released. And tomorrow morning will be the earliest opportunity for the tariff ruling. Those opinions typically get released around 10 a.m. Eastern time, right as we're starting to conclude RB3. We'll keep an eye on that, and if there's something going on, we'll definitely let you know about it. And I'll tell you what, Tom, if something comes out, that's going to make tomorrow's train and trade vitally important. So definitely encourage you to come to that and encourage you to let your friends know because wow, are we going to have a lot to talk about tomorrow morning as you see the results of the news impacting the market. Now, does anybody have any question about any of these big news items which will be coming out tomorrow morning? Tom, is there anything you're specifically looking for?
I guess what I'm really looking for is get past the Supreme Court announcement. I think the reason it's going to be bearish is because if you go to Cauchy and look at the odds of it being positive, uh, they're low, which means that the market's going to have that flush when it happens, and it's going to be interesting to watch. Now, I think the administration will have a backup plan, and it'll be short-lived. But the idea is going to be a negative in the short term. Okay, and in this market, you could be down 120, 130 S&P points in a heartbeat, and that's one reason I'm bringing up the pocket puts because that's a good way to have something in your pocket in case something goes off the rails tomorrow. Now, if we get through tomorrow and they wait another week, it's still overhanging the market. And then you get into a whole bunch of other stuff. But I think the bottom line, they might wait. I think it's the next 3 meetings they've got to let us know what they're going to do. Just knowing how people are, my gut would say they'd wait a little bit on it if they could. They don't want to get slapped, across the face if the ruling is negative. Okay, and I'm sure that there'll be a lot of questions after it comes out. Okay, which creates uncertainty in itself. Anyway, those are the things you got to worry about, and that should get us into our training, right? For there's the E-mini, there's the month high, the 3-day high. See how good that sheet kept us from loading the boat? Month open 69.38, month midpoint 68.89. We're below that right now. The 3-day low 68.62. We're above that, and the month low is at 67.50. If we do get a flush, I would target that lower number there, 67.51. Now, the same rule applies to upside as downside. 75% of all stocks will fall if the S&P falls. So we got to put all eyes on the S&P, especially tomorrow. This is what I thought was critical about tomorrow. I call it winds of war with Iran. That's something else hanging out there. I think we're moving closer to that. The winds are getting stronger. That's my personal opinion. Supreme Court possibility tomorrow, the next 3 Fridays, I believe, or next 3. Yeah, what's tomorrow? Friday. Yeah, next 3 Fridays. PC and GDP tomorrow. That's critical. Now, I don't think it's prudent to take a big position one way or the other. We're better off letting news come out, be digested, and then adjusting our strategy to take advantage of what's happening. Okay? That's our approach. Let everybody else make the giant plays and go home with nothing. Well, we'll just keep pulling 20, 30% out of the market when it sets up. I like that strategy. It adds up, doesn't it? Does add up. I know it adds up. I've got one student that was in for a one-on-one. He's up 100% this year, so that's pretty good. It adds up really good for somebody that's got the discipline to follow along. Now, as I said this morning on T-Buzz TV, my strategy of pocket puts, and it's a way to put some profits into your deal. So what are pocket puts? Think of it as an insurance only be placed if a possibility of a market failure is present. I think it's got all the requirements. I go out about 30 days to expiration. I look for a 5-wide put spread on the QQQ priced around 50 cents. If the market falls, the position could easily double or triple. I've had it quadruple if it happens real fast, increasing the value to a lot of money. Pocket puts are all or nothing best. There's no stop other than the spread that you have. And, so if you take this strategy, you got to say, hey, if I buy a 10 lot and I pay $500, that's $500. If you don't get a flush and the market goes up the opposite way up, you're probably going to make that money back with your portfolio or other things, but you got to consider it's an all loss bet if it doesn't work. If ES goes above 7,000 or the VIX drops, I would say below 18, then we'd probably get out of these pocket puts and salvage a little bit of the 50 cents we did pay. Any questions about how to do this? The next thing I think you got to know, does everybody understand when I say pocket puts what I'm talking about? So I'm going to let Jonathan take over and go find us some 30-day pocket puts. We'll put this in our T-Buzz T&T room. So Jonathan, you take it over and find out where we can find a pocket put out there with our name on it.
Okay, this is Tasty Trade, and the monthly March expiration, March 20th, is 29 days out. That's as close to 30 as we can get, or it could be more than 30 days, but we'll check March 20th. And we're looking for a 5-wide spread for 50 cents. So what's really neat on this platform is, like, I could come down here to 590 and build a 5-wide put spread. All right, and I clicked on the asking price for the 590. I clicked on the bid price for the 585. That's a 5-wide debit put spread. That's a bearish strategy that'll make money if the market falls. Now it's priced too much at $1.20, right? So I can literally on this platform, where is it? I can hit these buttons right here. All right. And I can move both at the same time up the option chain. So let's do that. There it is. Or down the option chain, however you want to see it. Say it until I get to, oops, look at that. The strikes changed. So now that we got 5 wide spreads, let's keep it moving on down. There we go, Tom. 555, 550, marked at 50 cents.
550.
555, 550, marked at 50 cents. And to give you an idea, that's about a 9% fall in the QQQ, is all that is. It's very reasonable. Actually, more reasonable than normally is, Tom, when we look at these pocket puts in terms of the amount of space.
Yeah, I got 50 cents for it, and I'm going to do it. So the 555, 550, I'm going to do. Now, what do we need to know about our net delta on this thing?
The net delta, it tells you, is -2. Down here at the bottom of the platform.
Which means that if the NASDAQ, okay, drops 10 cents or 10 points, that'd be 20 cents added to 50, right? So that's at 70. That's on a 10-point drop, right?
Yeah.
So about 20 cents per 10. You can double your money here with a 30-point drop.
All right, this is going to TNT. Getting that worked up here for everybody.
Yeah. Any questions about what we're doing? So if you got 10 of them, right, Jonathan? That's a $500 risk that you just basically wrote a check for if it doesn't work out. I told you the exceptions of getting out of the thing rather than all or nothing is VIX drops below 18 and one exception we get above 7,000. I can put time. Now, I came up with this strategy because I like it and it gives you coverage during these type periods where there's not a lot of high odds plays. Any one of those things we identified could cause this thing to be worth some money. Now, does anybody have any questions why I'm doing it? I don't do this all the time, but generally speaking, I will pick select times throughout the year that I think the risk is so great, it argues for this strategy. And you might show a chart of the QQQ up there on a daily basis, and I can give them some numbers coming down. We did go down.
QQQ daily.
All right, first thing I would do is that low way over there to the left. Where's that low way over there to the left, Jonathan?
This low over here is a low of 580, 580.74.
580.
Yep.
That's about 25 points down from here. So 25 points down to that low would add 50 cents to this option, make it $1. See how that works? That'd be the logical point I'd say it'd get down to on real negative announcement, like war, bad tariff. Why don't we take a 5 minute break? Let everybody walk around and think about this. Then I want to go in and talk about my one ticker payout. Uh, I did something today. We had a lot of people that joined us last night with the lifetime, but I didn't want to leave anybody behind. So I'm going to make a commitment to anybody that joins me that if you join for the rest of this year, you'll get about 50 trades. They'll come either on Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday during the week, the last 30 minutes of the day. We'll be thinking about that when we come back. I'm going to walk around myself, and we'll come back and talk about the one ticker payout. That would match up well on the one ticker with this pocket put strategy. We'd probably make 5 of those to pay for the pocket put, or doubling our money. All right, Jonathan, I will be back in 4.5
All right, we're going to finish up here in just a few minutes. Tom's final thoughts on the market. Welcome in, Randy. Glad you're here. We're live every day at 11 a.m., Monday through Friday. And recordings can be found at the YouTube channel, dtitrader.com/YouTube. Just click on the live tab. Check the live tab for recordings. We're live right now. You can go catch the recording. Right now, actually, you can rewind as you see fit. But stick around for now because Tom's coming back online for some final thoughts. And then we'll stream a video of his one ticker payouts program. A program that Tom traded 31 winners in a row from the span of 2024 through most of 2025. Just an incredible streak that he went on. We're looking to start a new streak here in 2026. So hang on just a minute. Tom will be back, and I would expect any moment now.
I heard 31 times in a row, and that's true, folks. That's true. And so what I did, we're going to play a recording about the one ticker payout. I will tell you this year, you can write this down. I'm going to do 50 trades on this. So let's just do some math, Jonathan. Okay. Do you have any idea on the ones that I lose, how much I lost? You got that handy?
I don't have that handy. Nope,
Okay,
sure.
let's just take a hypothetical. Let's say that I lose 25% on, let's do the math here for everybody. If I do 50 trades and make 20% on, let's do 100, well, 50, yeah, 50. Let's say that I do 8 times 50 would be 40. So 40 winners at 20%, putting up $1,000. John, if you got a calculator, figure out how much the gross would be from that. Hypothetically, if I do this year, I do 50 of them and I make 40 of them, pay me $200 per thousand. How much money would I make? That's just using 1,000. It'd be $8,000. And if I do 10 that I lose 25% on, 25% times 10 would be 250 times that'd be 2,500. So 8,000 minus 20 would generate $5,500. Okay. So $5,500 is, if that's just minimum participation, and that's doing 50. And that's what I'm going to put on the line here this year. And so I decided what I would do. I told Adam, I said, Adam, I really don't like these lifetimes, even though we sold a bunch of them last night. I said, let's cut the price down and make it 10x. And it's more than 10x, $499 for the rest of 2026. And if you got a lifetime, you want to hold it. But why don't we offer that? But let's listen, if we can, to the recording. And I think people are going to find out this is a heck of a deal to be part of. Again, I will look for trades Tuesday afternoon, last 30 minutes, Thursday afternoon, last 30, and Friday afternoon. So one of those 3 spots will be occupied with this strategy going for this year. Does that sound like a fun thing to do? So $499